Reverend Don Lewis, coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from Lady Sherry. I should point out, however, that it is not Lady Sherry's question, but rather a question forwarded from one of her students who I understand wishes to remain anonymous. Therefore, I attribute the question to Lady Sherry. And the question is this. Given the teaching present in many pagan religions, certainly in the Correllian movement, that all things that exist have spirit, including things that other movements might look upon as inanimate, what is the state of things that are created from other things? For example, when a chair or a table or a book is created from a tree, is this a continuation of the soul of the tree, or does the item have a new soul of its own that is separate and different from that of the tree? And in answer to this, I would first say that I think the majority of the world's pagan religions have taught that all things have spirit. And again, certainly the Correllian background I come from does teach this, and this extends to things like chairs and tables and books. However, it is important to bear in mind that this is a very different kind of existence from our own, but that really isn't directly relevant. We also feel that things such as stones have spirits, and it's really very much the same idea. A stone did not begin the way that it is now when you have it on your altarpiece. It began as a vein in the earth, which in turn at one point had been in a different state. So in order to have that stone on your altar, it's already gone through metamorphoses in the time of its existence, which has changed its spiritual nature to the one that it has by the time you get it. This is also true of things like tables and books and chairs. How much spirit they have, how active it is, I think depends very much on many different variables, but from ancient times this has been a thought. And what I would say is that in terms of the nature of that soul, I would say that something which has been created from something else has its own soul. I don't know that I would exactly describe it as being new, however. And I tend to think of it almost as an incarnational type of relationship, in the same way that we reincarnate, that it's a new aspect of the soul of the previous form. So, for example, the table or the chair will be imbued with the soul of the tree, but will also be separate from and different from it, in much the same way as we are imbued with the energy of our soul, but it has many other aspects as well, and in turn comes from the monad. So, yes, I would say that it is related to the soul of the tree, the chair or the table or what have you, but is also separate and different at the same time, and this is the same principle as that stone on your altar, because it came from a much larger vein, which in the fullness of time had gone through different metamorphoses, at one time being molten. And I would say that the exact nature of the relationship between the physical item and the soul has changed more than once during those metamorphoses, and would have this same aspect that, yes, I think it is in effect a new incarnational form of the existing soul, but is also separate and different. So when a piece of that stone is separated off and polished and so forth, yes, it's carrying forth that energy, but in other ways it is made different. I think it's the same for anything else. Now, having said that, I would also say that in some cases, when we're talking about the energy of a book, for example, you have the energy of the physical book, you also have the energy of the story within it, which I think is a very different question. And I think that stories of different kinds have their own life in a manner of speaking, but it's a very different thing from what we're talking about here. We're talking about physical things here. And if you look at both contemporary and historical paganism, you will see many famous examples of this idea that all things have soul. One of the ones that I found particularly impressive studying in my youth was the collection of prayers that would be offered when a door was put up in the Roman period. And there would be prayers for the door, prayers for the door case, prayer for the hinge, etc., in the belief that all these things had their own spirit, their own God, if you would, or if you want to think of it in a Shinto sort of way, their own kami. These are, in my opinion, basically the same concepts. You will, again, also see this in Shinto. You can see it in many, many different historical and contemporary things. In Western paganism, we don't tend to focus on it quite as much, but it is still a teaching for many of our traditions, and again, certainly the Karelian one. So these would be my thoughts on the matter. I hope you find them helpful. And until next time, may you blessed be.